Greetings to you all. To those of you saints, I bid you shalom, and I welcome you to this broadcast. In my introduction, I'd like to start at the end, and then you'll see, based on the topic, what should have been the beginning. Permit me to start with the matter regarding Skello, this guy known as Baby Skello. I have never paid attention to him because there's nothing attentive about what he would have said or would say or tried to sing. Since I'm a musician, some of you may not know that, I'm a singer, songwriter, musician. And there is no way that I would ever subject myself to listening to the likes of this man. Never, under any circumstance. But as you join the broadcast, please indicate to me whether you hear me clearly and you're also seeing me clearly, both on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm here to speak to, along with Jenna, to speak to this matter of Irfan Ali snubbing the FBI investigations and being so arrogant, grossly disrespectful. But I would not ever allow 1 minute to pass tonight. I'm not going to wait for tomorrow for this. The police have arrested this young man that they call Baby Skello. Permit me, please. This is after he would have apologized. Today I saw the breaking news. Breaking news. HGP Nightly News from Travis Chase. Police at the Criminal Investigative Department have arrested Daniel Wharton, well known as Baby Skello, in connection with a song which portrays the Hindu goddess Lakshmi in a vulgar manner. 90 News understands that the ranks of the Major Crimes Unit of the Criminal Investigative Department are currently questioning Baby Skello. The Ethnic Relations Commission did say that the commission will explore all legal avenues available under the law of Guyana in addressing this matter. Listen to what the Ethnic Relations Commissioner, Corey Travis Chase, would have said. This is after Skello would apologize. This young man, Baby Skello, apologized. Then he did a song saying he didn't mean to hurt you, something like that. I don't listen because I play music. I cannot be a musician listening to this guy say. But he offered some apology because he hurt Hindus, which are predominantly of the Indian descent. They weren't satisfied with an apology. So the CID went after Skello. I am here to demand from the likes of Norris Witter, Raskafra, you all need to talk and talk very fast. Because this is not going down like that for me. Jen is in studio, but just give me a minute. This cannot go down like that. That's why I wanted to do the program with this. That's the tone I'm setting for this night. Now, I want to show you something. So they arrested Skello. Okay. July of last year, July would be 1 year since I reported this, August, 1 year between July and August, when I reported this to the ERC and many others, including Raskafra. Siobhan Lerman, this lady here, this one here, you know the husband left, he's Kevon. He works at Barrett, I think. The one in the middle here, that one in the middle, that's his wife, living in Linden, in a predominantly African neighborhood and community. 1 year ago, I reported to the ERC almost 10 months ago, that this woman has insulted an entire ethnic group. Not some faith, not a goddess or a god of Africans, the people themselves. She said it's only black people pokey does leak. This woman here, this one said it, that one. You think there was enough? She wasn't done. So Lorma may have said something and Ashley Boo said, she said blackface monkey. Look at Shavi Lorma. Yes, I did. And what? I reported this to the Ethnic Relations Commission 10 months ago. The police called me. Let me show you my face. They called me. telling me I must go to Georgetown to give some statement. I said, I am not going anywhere. You cannot be so disrespectful to me that somebody who insulted an entire ethnic group and others across the world. And I must go to Georgetown to talk to you all in the CID, not me. You will find me. I'm not coming anywhere. So it's like go to Mackenzie police station to make the statement. I gave a statement. I inquired of them. The ERC came, some commissioners, all the way to Linden to meet with me because they invited me to Georgetown. I said the same thing. You're paid to talk to me. I'm not paid to talk to you. So you will find me where I am. I told them I'm willing to go to y'all to this woman's house right now. 10 months ago. She's still free. And she went, when there was the Muhammad story, when Guyana said that they're sharing out this $100,000, this same woman said that she only see black people there. ERC did nothing to her. When GRA came to take Asadin's vehicles that morning, she said that you should have found better people to associate with and label us as black monkeys. ERC did nothing to her. But this hits us after Skello apologized. After baby Skello apologized. Before Jenna comes on here, this is the woman here who's still walking around, this one right here. Still carrying herself around here, disrespecting African people. And ERC can do nothing to her. But y'all could hold Skello. Well, I got something coming for y'all. I have something very special planned for you all. Believe me, I'll tell you that. But that's not the worst. So Skello apologized and CID are still going after him. Let me show you this one here. And then I'll bring Jin on the show. Just wait a minute for me there, bro, Gina. Look, Guyana, look.
And the fucking next thing is, police now against fucking police. Here's the next thing. The fucking police, them all look like a fucking thief. Yeah, black man that's like fucking jump houses. Yeah, fucking Matty black man, shoot you like Matty black man. Your mother's gonna get fucking sense, eh? The fucking man down there and gonna. Oh, mother's gonna is the policeman, yeah, gotta look for. Kill the police out. No fucking could the people do ya not is yeah, old Matty black man shoot a Matty black man. Your mother's gonna get from fucking racist now, eh? Your mother's gonna dotage bad black man. And my mother's gonna get sense. Like I can never fucking go to school. I need to go fucking school. And your mother's gonna do this bad. I never see fucking black man so yet. Burning fucking burning up fucking people vehicle. But hey, black people and pies now your mother's gonna out keep a party. And fucking make sure invite all your mother's gonna all the black man in this country. Cook and get your mother's gonna feed and show pies in your fucking food and get you dead out of your mother's gone. After that kind of get no fucking sense black man. Me said I am known as fucking Gaza on TikTok. I kill all your mother's cunt out if I get the fucking chance to kill black man. I shoot all of your mother's cunt out.
That said, breaking news. Police at CID have arrested baby Skello. Need I say more? Need I say more? Let me bring Jenna, my brother, here with me. I wanted to start the show like that, Jenna. Because the obvious is obvious. One African young man, mixed, he's actually mixed, apologized, and the fella has a mental disorder. And his apology was not enough for the Hindu community. We have got this Imran story since Quinton Bacchus was shot, and the other riots at Monrepo. I was one who had to be on social media bombarding the airwaves. Then ERC pulled him in for him to say he's sorry. And that's the end of the matter. Now, Skello said he's sorry, and ERC still pursue this matter, and CID still arrested this young man. But Imran was never arrested, never once arrested. Jenna, speak please. Because it's getting worse by the day with Barrett and these people. You have to unmute your microphone for me.
Um, Shalom, everyone. Namaste. Salam alaikum. Um, it's very distressing for me in particular because, as a person of Indian descent, to be listening to what that young man said is terrible. It shows the level at which we are at in this society. That that he can make those kind of statements without being arrested. It, te-
Exactly.
it tells a lot about the the legal and judicial system in this country, that a man can go on social media and make those kind of a statement. Not only should he be arrested and charged, but a whole set of charges, his language, the way in which he has abused a section of our society, tells a lot about his ignorance and stupidity. You can't even find words to describe it. And people, the churches, the mosque, and the mandirs, and so on, should be the one who should be condemning this thing. The boy should be put on public media and embarrass him, so that others can learn that you don't say these type of things. You don't. It There is a, you see, this thing has serious political implications, because what
Exactly,
I
brother.
am telling you, what they're trying to do desperately, they're trying to whip up racial tension in this country so that they can call an emergency and suspend
Election.
the election.
And suspect.
This is
Correct.
this is what this is all about. Look, I don't know if you remember that I was charged for cybercrime. I was arrested. Three policemen came, a police woman and two other policemen came to my house on the Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, and they wanted me to go to the station. Well, I was an obedient, law abiding citizen. So I told them, look, I had somebody here. I give legal advice to people. The woman came, they're very distressed about her problem. I was dealing with, I explained that to them, and the police were very sympathetic. They say, Mr. Rahman, listen, we were ordered to come and take you to the station,
Mm.
not the Perica police station, which is my jurisdiction, which is two
Right.
minutes away. They drove me, listen to this. This is very important. They drove me at high speed, the police van, clearing all the cars and vehicles on the road, fly over the bridge at high speed, and took me to Ivleri police station at 10 o'clock. Well, we must have arrived there at 10:30. Stripped me, took away my phone and all the other things I had in my pocket. It was shocking.
Wow.
Shocking. And that happened on the during the
Granger.
Ranger administration. And people need to understand, this thing is not about the state, the repressive state that we live under, the nature of the state, the characterization of this repressive state that is managed by the administration that comes to power. It doesn't matter is it at the political level. They manage the state manages the administration. That is why you have the kind of police force that we have in this country. And we need to discuss this because
We
it is
should.
important to understand what we all are against. You made in one of your broadcasts, I heard you said it sometime during this week, which is very profound, that we live in a class society where the overwhelming majority of ordinary people suffer under this system. Malcolm X Malcolm X used to call it the system, because he said it didn't matter who came to power, and if the system remains as it is. You will recall Obama, who became president of the United States of America in 2 terms, did absolutely nothing for the African Americans or non-white people in the United States of America. In fact, Obama was one of the worst presidents the United States ever had because he invaded Libya. These are not out of context thing. It's related to what we're discussing on the question of class and the question of the state. What is the state? It consists of the police, the army, the judiciary. That's what the state is, and the civil servants who color it to make it appear or make it look good. But it's a very repressive arm, and it comes out isolatedly and collectively to deal with people like us who they believe are leaders of an organized movement, and they feel threatened. So they would use everything to get me and you incarcerated because they believe that what we are saying, what our program is educating people. And
Right.
what we want to tell people is that this is not a race war. What is surprising to the establishment, the rulers of this country, Jagdeo and his acolytes, is that people are not buying this racial division anymore.
No.
It has
And permit
become
me, Jenna, permit me first to speak to this very important matter here, because it highlights what you're speaking to. If this fellow, the first one, the young Eastern guy was cussing and carrying on, that was when Quinlan Bacchus was shot by the policeman. Unarmed man, they claim he had a weapon. When they tested the ballistics, the gun was not even functional. And they said he fired 3 shots or whatever at them. Shot and killed the young man 5 times in his back. That story. The riots started at Monrepo after the people weren't getting any justice. Ali didn't even take time to go to seek Quinlan Bacchus' family until maybe 2 weeks or so after. Out of that situation, this young man decided he's going to, of course, make such statements. The ERC, I say again, did nothing to him until there was an outcry, and then he just apologized. And that was it. Now, I'm of the view, Jenna, based on what you're just saying, that someone from the state entities or agency had to give a further instruction to say, listen, what this young man, baby Skello, said about singing this song and he apologized is not enough. Go after him even more. So it comes down to us understanding now that even in religious circles in this country, there is a class system and a class struggle. So some are more equal than the others. They're bringing a man here next few weeks, Vibes Cartel, who was charged for murder in Ireland, spent 14 plus years in jail. And Vibes Cartel sang a song. You're not Christian, Jenna. I'm not Christian either. But those who met with Ali the other night at Culture Center, Vibes Cartel, who's coming here this month, say, and I'm not being vulgar, I just want guys to hear me. Tonight's the night when we raw with y'all. Vibes Carter sounds like, girl, your pussy good like Jesus. I kid you not.
I
And it
saw that.
repeats over and over again. Your
I saw
pussy
that.
good like Jesus. Vibe, now hold on. Jenna, Skello is charged. CID dragged him in, arrested him. I don't know if he's charged yet, but the friends of the PPP are bringing into this country Vibes Cartel to entertain the Guyanese with this song.
It shows the
Look at where
level
we're
of
going as a people.
it shows the level of deprivation, the high level of immorality, the depths in which we have reached in this country is amazing, shocking. That we have never had this kind of culture has emerged,
Never.
and they have encouraged it. You'll sit in the buses, and you hear the rubbish music, and this is not only among you would have said before. Oh, African Guyanese like to hear this kind of reggae, this type of thing, but it's across the
No.
board. The Indian drivers are the same. There is no
Same because
fundamental
no,
difference. Exactly.
no.
So
No.
what we have in, we haven't inherited. This has to be placed directly at the footstep of the PPP. And my good friend Ramatar, he had indulged in this type of a behavior, this backbowling and all this kind of nonsense
I
that
remember.
him and Jagdeo and all these kind of people have dragged the country into a state of absolute disgrace. And when we come to discuss the ERC, you will see who is the chairman of the ERC. It is a man who's supposed to be the spiritual head of the Muslim organization, a man called Sheikh what's his name? Sheikh
Back.
Haq. Yes, he's the head of this organization, and anybody who reads what they're supposed to do and they're not doing it
No.
tells a lot about where we are going. Because if the man is the spiritual head of the Muslim organization, and by the way, those who don't know, his wife is the director of public prosecution, and she wears a covering called a hijab, which is
Hmm.
supposed to protect her dignity and her integrity. But when you see what she does, you ask the question, if what she and her husband proclaim to be, whether you can categorize them as being Muslims. My son
Jenna,
say,
this is so potent because Jenna, a young nurse was speaking privately, and this is going to tie us into or cause a transition to other parts of this broadcast. A young nurse spoke privately to somebody, not even publicly. She wasn't on the phone. She didn't send a voice, not anything. She was having a private conversation in a car or vehicle of some sort. The person was recording her, and she's speaking to whether she was not viewed the Adriana drowned in any pool because she said the lung wasn't of that size to mirror anything and all that. She spoke obviously her language, her knowledge of anatomy and physiology was on par with that of somebody who's well trained. Her vocabulary was as well. This girl, Nurse King, she spoke privately. The person recorded her unbeknownst to her and shared it, got it out there somehow. Anil Nandalal and others are sitting today with that girl incarcerated saying that she is a terrorist. But this young man that I played earlier, who said he should poison all black people, is not a terrorist.
oh, by the way, has that guy been charged?
Never. That's what I'm telling you, Jenna. He was never charged. Never once. He wasn't even arrested, Jenna. He was
What
not
needs
even arrested. Yes, he just brought him before them and he said, I'm sorry, I have friends.
before I forget, what needs to happen with individuals like him? We need to take citizens arrest. So a group of us arrest him, and you put him on trial. If the and you video it, so you take him to a place where you invite people to come, and then you tape it, whatever you put him on trial and ask him why he had the right to say what he's saying, because if we don't take citizen action when the establishment is not taking any action, then we have the right to do that. We have the right to take
So
citizen action.
to make it clear, the Constitution permits us to make citizens arrest.
Yes, you can arrest somebody on the road. You call that citizen's arrest, and
If they're breaking the
you
law,
can take them. Yes, you can take them to the police station.
the
You're not
Constitution
supposed.
affords us that right.
Yes, you're not supposed to do him anything physically, or even
Correct.
verbally. But if somebody is breaking the law, if somebody is behaving in an uncivilized manner or an uncultured manner, you have the right to arrest him. You call that citizen's arrest. One of the problems we have in this country is that people do not read, they don't research, they don't know what their basic rights are. They spend a lot of time on social media gossiping and reading nonsense rather than educating themselves about their rights. In the Constitution of Guyana, people have a lot of rights. If you don't know what your rights are when you're going on the road, and the police tells you to stop, and you ask them, why are you stopping me? Police ought not to stop someone on the road willy-nilly. In fact, Nandalal recently said that. He recently said that. So what we have in this country is a breakdown of law and order, brother. It's a complete breakdown of law and order. All the laws are there to protect the citizen of this country, but it is not enforceable. The question is, why are they not enforceable? That is the question we need to discuss. Look, we have a dictatorship, and let us define it. I operated under the Burnham dictatorship, and let me tell you, I was locked up, charged, put in jail, all that kind of things happened. I am not here sitting here groping about what happened to me as a person, because I was fighting for civil rights. And it didn't matter whoever it was, as I'm doing now. As I speak to people now, I am doing the same thing I did 40 years ago. So it is not an individual thing. We are discussing the issues of freedom, rights, and democracy, the right of movement, the right to be able to speak, which is enshrined in our Constitution. I have the Constitution in front of me. The time doesn't allow us to get into that. But
But
people should go and
you
read
use a
it.
very important term. Use a very important term, Jenna. Democracy. And in our bid to always inform Guyanese, I interrupted you for a reason that's very important.
No, it's good. It's okay. We have a
We
discussion.
speak to we speak to we speak to being a democracy. Okay, and Abraham Traore said that they call themselves. Now he met with Maduro in Russia. People didn't realize that, and I put the photograph up for you all at some point. Let me see if I can find it. Maduro met with Abraham Traore,
The president of
Burkina
Burkina,
Faso.
Burkina Faso.
Take a
Yeah,
look at the screen.
yeah, right. I see
Take
it
a
there.
very careful look at the screen. And Traore would have is quoted as saying that you say you're a democracy, but you kill innocent protesters. Now I wonder why you would make such a statement. Because Maduro is familiar with that in Guyana. I don't know. I have to really research why that statement came from Traore. After meeting with this person, or it is attached to him in some way. Now listen, you say you're a democracy, but you're killing protesters who are innocent in the street who do nothing to you. They are harmless people. I'm making that statement, Jenna, because Guyana is not a democracy in any way. The term democracy speaks to people governing. Demo will be the people. Demos, people. Cracy, govern. People govern. We don't govern Guyana. And I want to come forward to the guardians of democracy. You remember them, Jenna?
Yeah,
Who were standing with shotguns to guard ballot
the
boxes?
Guardian,
Now they are seeing the tyranny.
the darling of democracy. One of them was beaten up. What's his name? The Portuguese-looking guy. What's his name again? He was one of the guardians of democracy, guarding
Max,
those Max. Yeah,
Brian Max.
yeah, yeah.
One of the
We don't
guard,
hear
right.
we don't hear
And
much from him now anymore.
no, ever since. But look what happened to us. They're guarding ballot boxes night and day and said that Adrian said they're going who have to run and whoever have to run and they're going to wait here and all that. And now, when we're seeing that democracy is certainly being threatened, where you cannot even have a private conversation or you'll be called a terrorist. If you have a private conversation, not about terrorism, by the way, about your view on somebody's death, Adriana's case, you are a terrorist and you're arrested. And I have not seen one guardian came to say a word. Joe Singh wrote letters. I remember that. Joe Singh was writing letters to get Granger. Essentially, Granger needs to go. Joe Singh hasn't written or uttered a word. And
Let
he
me
was
say,
trained in Sandhurst.
let me say, well, he was trained in the bourgeois institution to suppress
One of the
ordinary
best,
people.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Joe Singh is part of the establishment. Joe Singh was removed as the head of KANU during the Granger period. And as soon as the PPP came back into office, they reinstate him.
Not him, his son.
His son, yes, his son,
Yes, son, right.
James Singh. Now, these two, I call them stooges of the establishment. They're there to get personal benefit. He sat as the chairman, Joe Singh, of that Madhya commission, and he tried to accuse the education officer of the crime that was committed there, when in fact the chief executive, which is Ramotar's brother, former president's brother, who was the chief executive,
The regional
and
executive officer.
the regional executive officer, he was the guy that is in charge of the entire operation there. In fact, when the thing happened, the woman who was the Redo, Miss Douglas, wasn't there. They transferred her. And the reasons why they transferred her, Mr. Joe Singh didn't even question her. I was at the inquiry and I listened to it. And I saw the way in which they tried to cover up what happened to those 20 children that were murdered. Those children were murdered, you know.
As far as I'm aware, that's what I
Yes,
feel.
they were murdered because the necessary protection that was supposed to have
Exactly.
been there. Just like this Adriana situation, where when you go to a swimming pool, there are certain rules and regulation based on health and safety that is
Correct.
supposed to have been put in place. And the most important one was to have a lifeguard standing there all the time when people are in that pool. So there are regulations. So all these things have culminated to let Guyanese understand that we don't have law and order in this country. We are run by a dictatorship. And the dictatorship is running so scared that it doesn't allow any form of expression. The people are not allowed to express themselves the way they feel against anything that affects the administration,
Even privately.
even
That's
pri-
my brother.
even
Even now, I suppose say how I feel anywhere. As long as I do not defame people, I do not slander, which would be what I say. I don't libel in reference to what I write. But I have right to say how I feel about a matter. And who doesn't have the right to say how they feel about Adriana's situation, Keon Fortunate's situation, the young man in London who the crime chief today said that his hands are off. That is the RSS who are dealing with that and some other groups. See the trouble here? The Regional Security Service came into Linden, said they, Ali said, okay, we want an impartial investigation. And the crime chief is saying, well, that's out of my jurisdiction. I don't want to do that. So an
because
officer,
he's trying to wash his hands away
ah,
from the situation and not taking the responsibility. That is what is happening in this country. We don't
but
have the
Jenny,
type
he
of
cannot
leadership.
take responsibility, brother. How can he take
Huh?
responsibility if Ali went over him to bring in the regional security services, which I said he should never do? The RSS they call. To Linden they came. They haven't come for Adriana, by the way. So let's go to Adriana's situation. Let's go to that. Let's go to that quickly.
Yeah, let's deal with
Let, me-
that.
let me let me show you all. I really don't deal with certain matters, but I deal with this one here. Freddie Kissoon, your friend, Freddie said the young family needs to stop the conspiracies. Can you imagine that, Jenna?
Yes, some
Freddie is
conspiracy.
saying that the young family must stop the conspiracies because doesn't matter who they bring, the family will continue to drag out the situation until they get an answer that they like. How insensitive is this creature on the screen?
Let us inform the or viewers who this fellow is. This is a lunatic of the worst type. This fellow here, Freddie Kazoon. You remember he used to have a column in Kaitro News,
Yes,
and he used to blast the regime. He had gone so far, and you give him credit for that, for accusing the Jagdeo administration of racism. And he had proven through his research
yes.
that conclusively that the regime was institutionally racist. And no
And he
matter
won the
when
case.
the matter went to the court, and you had what a guy named who died now, Lon Chun, even admitted that the diplomatic service didn't have qualified people of African descent
My
to hold
Lord.
important positions. So what we're seeing here is that you get the African Guyanese. Unfortunately, you have the Indian ones who are defending the defenseless. Now, Kisoon had nobody knows the deal that Kisoon made with Jagdeo. Nobody knows that the matter was dropped and you haven't heard a single thing about it. The matter was not tried. If Freddie Kisoon was somebody of integrity, he should have allowed the trial to go on, and so it would have brought out to the public the level of racial discrimination against people of African descent in this country. It would have made Freddie Kisoon a hero forever. But
Wow.
he he has caused upon himself to become a rat. And when you become a rodent, then you have to hide. You have to hide. And that's what he's doing. He's trying to cover up for the regime, but he has no credibility. If he had any credibility, then the regime would not have used him the way in which they have used him, just for a loaf of bread. Because what does he earn?
I am very concerned about Freddie's writing because you have to analyze before you and you have to edit and all that before something is published. And for him to say that Adriana's family must stop the conspiracies. This girl has not even been buried. Now they're the ones, who's saying, let the child rest in peace. And I have never seen a group of people who are pushing so much for a child to be buried. Like they love her more than her father and parent. Oh, put her in the ground, put her in the ground. Bury her, bury her. And we all would like to think that we know why. Bury the girl, bury the girl. Oh, he's now saying that if they bring five more pathologists or whatever number it is, and the family do not hear that this girl died by unlawful means, they'll not be satisfied. Well, I'll tell
Look,
you why they won't be satisfied, Freddie, because it's obvious.
look, you don't need to have scientific knowledge of what I'm going to tell you now. If you hit somebody down on the road, anybody hit somebody down on the road, and there's nobody around to see that you hit that person, and you
Hmm.
believe that the person is dead, and you roll the person into the nearby canal, and then somebody discovered that body is in the canal the next day or probably later,
Hmm. Right,
you would have gone your way, right? But then because they can't find you,
right.
or there's no trace, because you would have been safe. Now, when that body would have been taken to the mortuary and you had a post-mortem, the result, obviously, the cause
Died
of
by
death
drowning.
would have been the cause of drowning. But here,
Wow.
the essential part of it is not only the cause of drowning, but the manner of drowning.
Manner.
And
That's the stressful
the
part.
cause and manner are two legal terms, and they can't be used. They have to be used together. The cause of death, and that is what this fool Freddie Kissoon doesn't understand. That has to be investigated. There has to be a forensic examination, because what the pathologist, and we haven't even got a report yet. The
Up
report,
until today.
right,
Up until today, we have not.
right.
Now, Jenna, you're older than me by many moons. So
Yeah,
you
it's
can tell me
20
if you
years.
ever experienced this.
Yeah,
Have you ever experienced in this country or in Trinidad or UK, where the president or the prime minister reports on a pathologist's finding
never.
without a pathologist saying anything? Have you
No,
ever seen
no.
that happen?
I lived in England for a long time, and I know the politicians do not get involved in
No,
matters to do with the police and anything to do with the investigation.
I- I've never seen this.
and the reason for that, as I keep coming back again, is that the nature of the state is run by political idiots who cannot trust or allow professionalism to take place in this country. Everybody who even as a professional is afraid to do their work professionally. This is a stage in which we have
Yeah.
reached in this
Yeah.
country where professionals, whether it be police, and we have very good policemen in this country.
Yes, we do.
Let's not discredit them. They are a lot of overwhelming majority of our policemen and women are professional, gentle, kind, courteous, polite people. There are a few rogues which you and I would have met, but the
Yeah.
majority of them are people who want to do their work. And the reasons why they're not allowed to do their work was it because, and people, some people get thin skin when you say this, well, we say on this program and in this movement about the truth. This type of rule, this type of structure, this state that Burnham created after colonialism is a Stalinist state, which
Yeah.
Jagan colluded with this way of managing the state. That is why when Jagan came to power in 1992, he became impotent. He could not implement anything that was what he just managed for the period of
You
time.
just manage, correct.
Yeah, there was no economic program that he talked about in his book, The Western Trial. Nothing was implemented, not a single thing, because he made compromise with U.S. imperialism to follow the footstep of Desmond Hoyt, who and this other idiot who was the Minister of Finance at the time. I can't remember his name, a short fellow. Um, they carried out this ERP
Economic
program.
recovery program, yeah.
Yes, yes. You remember the guy's name? He doesn't. He's not important.
Cargonage?
Carl Greenwich. You see, I have a way of remembering important things, and I set aside people I don't remember them. Carl Greenwich was the one who was working with the IMF and the World Bank that destroy the policies and program of Mr. Burnham, economic policy, social and cultural policy that they destroyed. Desmond Hoyt, on the insistence of the World Bank and the IMF, had a tool which was Carl Greenwich they brought in to carry out their dirty work. That is where we're at the moment. And when you're discussing all these things, right, the PPP is following that program and policy, and they've destroyed the economy of this country. That's where we are at. So it's a continuation of the Hoyt
Yeah.
era, which was dictated by the State Department and the World Bank and the IMF, which are creatures of the United States of America and the European countries. So when you see appearing a man like Ibrahim Toure on the scene, it terrifies them because he is showing within a period of 3 years that he has transformed that country to feed, house, and clothe his people within a period of 3 years.
Correct.
Mark Jacobs went there, our comrade, who's a member of our
Yes.
organization, National Farmers Organization. He is now in Burkina Faso giving help to them, and he's
Excellent.
welcome there. They are now building a tomato factory because the tomatoes that they have planted is too much, brother, and they're supplying the neighboring country, Ghana.
Countries, exactly.
You see what I mean? Now we need to discuss what kind of program and policy that we need to pursue, that people need to understand that how we can quickly transform this economy. We're not going to, I am saying that we cannot go back to the policies of Hoyt and the policies of the PPP. We
No.
look, the country is in an economic crisis, a major economic crisis. We have a crisis in agriculture, total crisis in agriculture. And look, the PPP has been in power for more than 30 years when you count up the time that they
Yes.
have been
Correct.
in power. All right. So when you count up what they have achieved, look, let me give them some credit. What have they achieved? Tell me. I went to Linden yesterday and I met you. The man nearly break down his car because of the state of the road. And who's building that road is one of Jagdev and Ali's friends. And I'm sure that he had to give them such a level of gift that he couldn't find the money to finish the road on time. When you take that road, you know how many people lost their lives. I mean, you know better than I do because you traverse there every day.
Suicide and Highway.
Yes, and
Yeah.
the reasons why so many people, I'm only giving you that particular example that you know better than I do, how many people lost their lives, how many people were injured, precisely because they did not, the Jagdev and PPP administration did not maintain that road that was
No.
built by Mr. Burnham 40 years ago. You can say the same thing about the Demerara Harbor Bridge. I took 2 hours yesterday to get home because of the level of traffic on that road. We are dealing with people who have no intellect, no understanding of even managing a cake shop that we have here trying to run a country. When you ask Ali, has he ever, you know what? I saw him yesterday, I was laughing. This guy is such an idiot that he has never even planted an okra tree, much less a sapodilla tree. I come to my yard, I'll show you a big sapodilla tree that I planted when I was at the age of 21. Bearing there, big, high up in the air. We got to trim it out. So what I am saying to you is that when you're asked, all these problems that we are discussing are symptoms of a major crisis, social, cultural, political, and economic crisis that we in this country have got. Of a
We do.
country,
And permit me,
carry on.
Gina, because
You can,
we have to move.
no,
Yes.
you carry on.
Yes. Look what's gonna. You won't see clearly, but just want to bring something to your attention. This
I
is the
see.
front page of Guyana Chronicle today. Okay. It says nothing about Adriana Young. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So we own this, by the way, Guyanese people. We own Guyana Chronicle. We own NCN. It's state owned. We own it. We own the state's house too. We own all those vehicles that are used to drive these ministers around. We own them.
Brother, we don't
And
own it. We don't own it. We don't own it.
who owns it?
The thing is owned by the state. It has
We are
not
the
been,
state.
it has not been, no, it's owned by the same repressive state that they manage. So the
Gina, we,
administration, like Granger was living nicely at his house there. He got a flood and then he run gone and live at State House. Burnham didn't do that, you know. Jagan did that. These are facts.
no, let's be clear. State happens to be the people. The people own these things. However, because of our culture,
No,
we
no, we have a
allow
difference.
politicians to
We have a difference of opinion here. Let me
that's
explain.
fine. Explain.
The
Then I will.
state has not transformed the means of production to the people.
Exactly. So we're not
So
different in our opinion here.
no. What we're saying is that the state, meaning that apparatus that we spoke about earlier, that is being managed by incoming administration. You know that we are the only ones who don't call them government. We call it an administration. Basically,
Exactly.
it is, and we don't call it a government. The other arms of government, the parliamentary opposition and the parliament here and the judiciary is the other two arms
Correct.
that makes up the government. So we are very clear about what we say. We don't call Mr. Jagdev vice president. He's one of
He's
the
not.
five vice presidents. And when you look at the newspapers, the Kaichor News and all of them, they keep repeating Jagdev as the vice president. I
No.
mean, it's a con. Why are you repeating this con over and over and over again? As Hitler's
Right.
guy said, if you repeat the lie over and over, it becomes the truth.
But
And
become the
that's why
truth.
you have
Jenna,
a lot of
but
these.
let's speak to the state because it has to be clear to those who are viewing. If you do some harm and you're taken to the court, it will be the state versus Jenna because you've hurt the state. When you break the law of Guyana, you injure the state. You hurt the state. The state happens to be the people. That's why anything that's called state owned has to be owned by the people. It is managed through representation. And that's just an irrefutable fact. Anywhere you go, the state is, of course, the name would be the country, but then the people make up a country. What has happened to us in Guyana is when I spoke to democracy, Jenna. Because we are an undemocratic nation, people don't govern Guyana. The people, the masses do not govern. Further, Burnham named our country the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Hinch had agreed to that. So we have two terminologies. Democracy means the people govern, and republic means that the people govern too. But you do not see that in any of these administrations.
The
What has
reasons
happened to
why
us is that we are hearing that once we're hearing that listen, Guyana Chronicle, when PNC wins, PNC controls state media. If PVP wins, PVP controls state media. And they tell us what we need to know.
okay,
That's
okay.
what we're dealing with here.
Let's use that as one good example. If Mr. Nagamutu, who was prime minister at the time, and a guy who worked with me at the Mirror newspaper as a journalist, if he was genuinely interested in giving power to the people, what they should have done was to transform that state ownership and then have an elected board by the ordinary people so that they
Exactly.
so that that is how people will have been able to write letters or produce articles regardless of who are in power. But because they want to control, you see, you have to understand that these two political parties came out of a Stalinist um, ideology where they believe that the ordinary people should not own and control the wealth of a country. I don't know if they know how to do that. I mean, we can look at every aspect of our economy. You can talk about rice. The rice industry, Granger said, is a private business. And he lied to the people. And the PPP saying the same thing. It's a private thing. We can't do anything about it. All right.
No.
But the truth of the
Nothing in
matter
this
is,
country is beyond our control.
right,
Nothing.
because let me just briefly explain this because we're not discussing rice tonight, but I know those
No.
executable farmers want us to talk about it over and over again, as that's the only
We'll have a program for them for
hobby
sure.
hobby horse.
All right. We will.
But
We will.
the truth of the matter is that the rice industry is controlled by the administration in power through an act of parliament. So
Exactly.
the Minister of Agriculture, through that act of parliament, has the powers to elect the chairman of the Guyana Rice
Rice board.
Board. I was on that board, and I was forced to sign a document of to keep the secrecy of the board, and I drag it out for several months, refusing to sign it until Mr. Husti was the appointed chairperson, said that if I didn't sign it, then I can't be on the board. So people need to understand that we have, you see, they place you in a situation of elitism. So for
Yeah.
you to go on that board, you can't speak out in the public as to what they're doing to ordinary people because you're bound by law to keep the secrecy so you cannot. So why are you there? Why are
Exactly.
you there as a representative of the farmers when you're not allowed? I have breached the law
J-
several times, and
I know you. Let, Jenna, let's because as I said, I want us to really zoom in on certain matters. We have many shows for the farmers for sure.
yeah,
Um,
well,
but
so I just want to use that as an example.
I do gather that. But look at this, Jenna. Irfan Ali said in reference to Adriana, that he wants to get to the truth. And I'm going to play a video for all Ghana to hear. Ali said initially that when of course there would have been disturbances, I call them protests, that included burning tires and all the rest of it. Ali said that they want to get to the truth. So they're going to have three pathologists who would come here. First of all, he initiated the first one from Barbados through Mayor Motley, I think with the Maddie story, same thing. Paul. And two others came at the request of the family. Ali said they want to get the truth and they would not stop at anything until they get to the truth. Now, the pathologists came. We were promised that they were going to have the report published, of course, given to the media so they can have maybe some redacted, some hidden, some parts of it they cannot see, whatever. It never got to the media's hand. Then we're told that after the autopsy, they're going to have a press conference where the pathologists answer questions fielded by the press. By the press. They disappeared. All these people said they were scared. So they ran. Now the men are back in Barbados, two are back in the US. And they cannot, to this day, organize a Zoom call. You can be in England and go courting Guyana on Zoom. But they can have a Zoom call for the pathologists to tell us their findings. And we have no record. No, the lawyer has got no report in his hand. But Ali now. So people are saying, listen, from day one, bring the FBI. We need to get to the bottom of this. Listen to Ali today, Jenna. Look at
Because
this
with
man.
regards to the Adriana Younge case,
No,
we know that the
I'm not going. I'm not
Will the FBI be asked
I am
to
not going
assist?
to. I'm not going to belabel this point anymore. Everything that I've committed to in the case, we brought in the independent pathologists. They have done their work. There's an independent investigator in. I've done what I said I would have done. The political handlers are now at work aggressively. Let the political handlers deal with what they
So
want.
the FBI wouldn't be asked, in addition to Mr. McCutcheon.
Look at
I
his
know.
demeanor.
I noticed he's growing the beard a bit longer.
Look at his
When,
attitude. And
when
of
you grow
course,
your beard, when you grow your beard a bit longer, that means you get holier than thou.
that's according to the Muslim faith.
Yes,
They-
yes.
But
So my son
but
was telling
Jinnah,
me I should grow my beard so long till my neck.
right.
Yeah.
Jinnah,
Yeah.
Irfan. First of all, so he wouldn't be labeled. Now you wrote for the Mirror newspaper. You're a
Yes.
journalist. How
Yes.
could a president not know the word is belabor? How could he say he wouldn't be labeled? The point. He
Because
is paid to speak on our behalf.
he's paid to speak on it. He was not an elected president. He was, as Harman them say, he was installed. That is the problem you have.
This
And
is painful, man.
when you talk about democracy, I have a different view of it, because for them, democracy is about calling an election. You either rig it or some form or the
Right,
other.
right, right. That's
And then,
democracy. You
and,
vote and the majority wins according to what they say. Even
right.
if you rig it.
So it's not democracy for us. It's about accountability to an administration, to the people of the country, and that is not
Absolutely.
has never happened in this country. So regardless of all the administration that come to power, we have not had democracy. We have had
Yeah.
rule
And
of a dictatorial rule.
correct.
So coming
Now,
back to the
Ali has refused to have the FBI come here. And we need to speak to that in reference to Adriana Young's matter. He
no,
refused as now.
look, the ambassador of the United States of America said today or yesterday that
Today. Mm.
that the government of the administration in Guyana has the right to the United States government making a request for the FBI to come here. The FBI is a police force of the United States of America. Nobody else can do that but the government of the day, the administration of the day, and they have not done that. And the reasons why they don't want to do that, because they know that what is going to be thrown up on their faces, they can't bear it.
And
Certainly,
on that note, look, Jenna, That means a lot for us to unpack tonight. This report from today, where the U.S. ambassador said that regarding a protest outside the American embassy about which there were social media promotional posts, she had no problem. Look at this with such an activity.
Yeah, I
The
saw that.
protest, it's part of free speech. Listen to what the
Mhm.
ambassador is telling Ali and Jagdin and Anil. As long
Exactly.
as it's peaceful, a peaceful protest, we're more than happy to hear the demands of the protesters. Oh,
Exactly.
this must be painful
Oh yes,
because
yes, yes,
the
yes,
U.S.
yes, yes.
ambassador says, listen, they're willing to have us stand outside and I know where this is going. So I want to make a clarion call to all tonight, Jenna. We need to be standing outside of the U.S. embassy. I know they're going to put barricades where put it where everyone. The U.S. could see us from way up from satellites. So we need to stand there as a people demanding or requesting that Irfan Ali does what the U.S. ambassador says she's prepared to do, which is to facilitate, send a message to Washington that we need the FBI here to investigate this matter. She's saying that if Ali does that, they don't have an issue with it because they came from Mahdia's situation. They came and investigated the situation at Mahdia. How come they not come here to investigate Adriana's situation, which has caused men and women to be in jail, held as terrorists according to Anil's definition of what they are, which is just disgusting. I am calling on all Guyanese to come out and stand peacefully because peacefully means that you understand the course of justice. When you understand justice and how it functions, you're always at peace. So they can't get me to act in any manner that's contrary to make them win. We are here. We should stand there, Jinnah, tomorrow, the next day, as often as you have to stand, because I know how the US functions. And I understand deep within what the ambassador is saying is an interwoven truth that, listen, if we could just see people outside on the road saying, we need you to facilitate this, she's telling us as a hint, y'all go outside and stand up peacefully, and we do the rest.
It's diplomatic language. So
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
Americans have lost faith in this dictatorship, and they know very well that they are not going to defend this because it looks very bad on them.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who have imposed this type of regime
Correct. On us.
into the country, and they are now regretting that even though it was the Trump administration, as you will recall,
Yes.
through Mike Pompeo, and see all this nonsense that is going on at this moment. America got too many other things on its plate to deal with. It can't handle this kind of situation. This is a rebellion that is taking place spontaneously, that nobody can stop this rebellion. And the more you try to stop it, the worse it gets.
The worst it will be, huh?
The worse it gets, because they are not allowing the democracy and the accountability to function. The democracy that you're talking about is their democracy. So there are two forms of democracy: the democracy of the ruling class and the democracy of ordinary people who have
Yeah.
the right to express themselves, freedom of movement, freedom of speech. And that is not happening. Even they have terrorized the entire population,
Yes.
and it will reach, and I say this, I predict this, it will reach a point where the situation becomes untenable for them, uncontrollable, that they may very well have to either run out of the country or do something extraordinary. And if whatever they are caught with a hard place, right, that they cannot get out of this crisis. They have placed themselves in this crisis that their own supporters are fed up, are ashamed, are disgusted with this type of a rule. We have
It is
never seen,
disgraceful.
we have never seen in my 76 years, 50 years or more of that have been actively in politics. A lot of that has been in the People's Progressive Party. But I function within all the organs of the PPP. Jagdeo and this little boy, Irfan Ali, has never functioned in these type of areas in the PPP as I did. So I'm speaking with authority. This is not a Jagan party. It is a
No,
Jagdewite party that have reduced this. Jagan would have never, I tell you this, he would have never tolerated anything of this sort in this
never,
country.
never.
And,
And
and, and
Burnham had you arrested, as you said, and you're on treason charge and so on. But I can tell you this, Jenna. I have never heard Fobbs Burnham call a Guyanese a terrorist. Never. I have never heard Fobbs or Chetty label us as terrorists. That is not an ordinary thing to say about people. They could say that your actions are treasonous. But to call your countrymen terrorists is
for
not
what?
easy.
For what? I
That's the
mean,
point I'm making. Now, the people who are trying to overthrow Burnham and all that, the talks all around. So he had right to call many people, and he didn't. Because when you label your own people, young people, the vigor, the vibe, the power of the nation rests on the shoulders of the youth. Maduro has elections coming up at the end of the month about Venezuela taking Essequibo. That's one of the reasons they're going to vote on. And you look at the young people and say, listen, you're a terrorist because you went and treated Monetaya. How do you inspire patriotism when you have friends and family outside who can't even get to see them on a daily basis? Only on Thursday you can get to see them because the charges are so serious that they are not afforded according to law certain privileges. This is not an ordinary situation here, Gina. And look at what they have created. They've created a firestorm over one little girl who couldn't be found when she went to the pool, who, based on the last images I saw, was in the shallow part of the pool standing. She wasn't in any part swimming.
let
Now,
me make
let me go
let me
ahead.
make this point. It's very important. I wanted to say this a long time. So I said it to other people, but I must have it on air. The truth of the matter is that we went and we, with some other brothers and sisters, we went and we met the family. As you know, I don't live far away from them. I know the family. I know them. They're very nice people. We went there to give them solidarity and support. And they told us what happened. The grandmother told us what happened. You know, they and like anybody else, she didn't. That child did not enter the pool at no stage. How could she have left and left the other two children sitting there and gone into the pool? You're talking here about minutes, less than an hour. She
No,
couldn't find.
she was in the pool initially. Then she went out of the pool because they have photographs of her being in the pool.
Mm,
And she was in the shallow side of the pool. That's no,
mm,
that's out there.
mm.
A new image surfaced from the aunt where they're showing somebody like the owner of the bill of the place standing there looking towards in the girl's direction. So the evidence is popping up every day. Some people said, according to inside sources, he said he wasn't around. I don't know, but I'm saying what he said. He told police he wasn't on site. He wasn't at the hotel at all. There's an image of him being by the pool. Jenna, she was in the shallow side of the pool. I want to show a video for the world to see. Of course, and I really, vulgarity or obscene language doesn't bother me, or profanity. It doesn't bother me. We live in a world people cuss, so. And I understand why people cuss sometimes. And in this case, they had a right to cuss.
I just cussed them, so I don't. It doesn't
Well, see,
matter.
well, I don't, but I understand. Look at it.
Them police girl in this pool, boy. The fucking girl that went in there, we went in there just now, boy. What the fuck, boy? That's why they didn't want nobody come in the place. Them didn't want nobody come in the place. What? What?
Jenna, before you speak, all who have ears to hear can hear. That young man, you heard him say? We were just in the pool and she wasn't there. So all this talk, Freddie Kissoon and Critic and all them on drum and yap, 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 I'm trying to dive. No. Let's deal with the facts. That young man said that they were just, which means they just searched the pool and she wasn't in the pool. Had been the same morning of the 24th. She wasn't in the pool. So they searched before, which would be the 23rd. They searched again of the morning in the pool. He used the language. She wasn't there. Now, how do we see a white sheet in a pool that critics said was cloudy, but you can't see a dark girl in the pool? Cloudiness speaks to what is white. You can see the white sheet in the pool, the critic eventually called Slipper called cloudy. But you couldn't see a whole black girl with black hair in a cloudy pool. No, white and black, or black doesn't hide when it comes to things that are cloudy.
That's right.
Um, so, so we have got a mammoth task on our hands, my brother. And that task is to stand resolutely, even in the face of tyranny. You being 76, I'm 51. The younger people than us who must see that you did not or I did not cower in the face of a dictatorship. It must be on record that the people's movement stood consistently throughout all of the storms, and we did not bow to any pressure from anyone, including those who can hardly speak and want to issue threats at us. I'm not taking it. Because I will close with this, which you're giving commentary to it, Jenna. What Afan Ali said. I think Afan is your cousin or you know him. He call you uncle.
He calls me uncle, does he? He
I'm
should.
wondering. Look at what Afan said. And I'm gonna just take the camera out so that they can see. Afan says that misinformation is not just an inconvenience, it is a threat. Police must tackle misinformation threat on demanding investigations, fueling panic. They can hear you as you speak, Jenna, because we need to speak to this. The same man who said that the pathologist reported that nobody put Adriana in the pool. I have never had a pathologist report about somebody being put in a pool or not put in the pool. They reported on whether she drowned. And Afan said that they said, we haven't read the report, but they concluded that she was not put in the pool. In essence, she drowned right there. Now he's saying that the police must deal with this as a threat. This is certainly the words, or these are the words of a dictator or a wannabe one.
You see, the police, the politicians are not supposed to be involved in this, in making these type of statements, because what they're doing is giving directive and threat to the police
To a police, there you go.
to
There you go.
but let me say this. Let me say this. The legal point about this whole thing is that the owner of the hotel should have been charged already for
Already.
negligence. For
At least.
negligence, because the pool, anybody who knows about the pool, the way in which it's constructed in the first place is a breach of the health and safety rules. I visited a pool recently. I have a relative who trains the police and coach, so I know what the rules and regulations are. And the very fact that he didn't have a lifeguard there on the pool is a breach of the
That
law, and he
alone.
should have
Exactly.
been charged
Criminal
for
negligence.
criminal negligence. He should have been charged already. What are the
At
police
least.
waiting for? At least. At least. So if they're talking about justice, that is the first form of justice. If a man breaches the law, he ought to be incarcerated, ought to be punished in relation to that law. There are measures that needs to be taken, and that has not yet has happened. Has not happened. And why? Why is it?
We must ask. We have to ask.
Well, it is
So
the
Jenna,
lawyer Dexter Todd that needs to actually. I think he's a good lawyer. I know him pretty
very
well.
good.
Yeah. So they've now
Bauer called him mediocre. I couldn't believe my ears.
well.
But
Should ask Bharat,
but listen,
did he pass the first exam when he was studying at the Lubumba
in Russia,
University in Moscow? Yeah. What was he doing there? We should interview him and say, hey, tell us
I would love to.
tell us what you were doing there. Which exam did you pass?
But, But I would say, Jenna, that I would encourage all Guyanese. We have to, we have to be on the streets peacefully protesting because the US is watching. All nations are watching. And the PPP have made it known to me that they respond to protests. As long as you protest peacefully, they'll have to respond to you because it disrupts many things, including people's business and all the rest of it. Because you're standing peacefully, you're not going to work. Guyana has to come to a standstill in reference to our normal lives. We have already been there. You're being told that you are terrorists for simply burning a tire on the road. Some people just going home from work and they were herded like cattle. Oh, somebody said, "Oh, collect the one. And you gone to jail saying you're a terrorist. Further, brothers and sisters, when we are not even allowed to have private conversations, regardless of what we say, we're not allowed to say things even privately, lest we be deemed terrorists. It has gotten worse. And now, when a finale, who's paid by us, can say in our faces that he has no intention, essentially, of inviting the FBI because he did all he said he would do. He didn't do all he said he would do. He did a part of it, which was to allow investigators to come here in reference to pathologists, medical investigators. But he's not allowing the ones we need, which would be the FBI, maybe the CIA. Well, they've been with Central Intelligence, Scotland Yard, Royal Mounted Branch of Canada, not a retiree. So,
So,
Jenna, we
no, but
must be on the street protesting.
even here in this country, we have capable policemen who can investigate this matter. It is not
Very
Chinese
highly
or
capable.
highly
It's a
capable people.
it's
You
a
don't need
simple
to.
matter, you know. Me and you
What
can
I
investigate a matter.
I can, well, as a journalist, I investigate. I just told you what they should have done
Exactly.
already. I just told you the man should have been charged for negligence. It's a breach of health and safety rules, and that is what we need to protest. We need when you're talking about peaceful protest, what we are talking about is upholding the laws of our
The
country.
law. Exactly.
That is what we're talking about because
Exactly.
nobody is above the law.
Correct.
Irfan is above the law because he was charged for 19 charges, which he would have been able to lose in jail, but he was able to not to face the trial. Him and Anil Nandalal. How could you take away government books and then claim that the president give you permission to do that? What sort of a behavior is that? These are the kind of people that are running our country. Anil Nandalal told me that he don't need to work because he got enough wealth that he don't need to work. So what are you doing there?
Wow.
Why are you the attorney general in this country? Anil Nandalal, according to Dr. Ramsahoy, is a man of no character. It's a man of no character. These are the kind of people who run in the country. Anil Nandalal has not brought any legislation in this country that are beneficial to the ordinary people of this country. And I challenge him anytime, anywhere to discuss these issues. This
Well,
is what we
Anil's
need to
challenge
do.
is here. He watches every so often. He may be watching us tonight as well. But the challenge is out. But the general
Look,
wants to debate you
look,
at any forum.
the first thing he did when he was this last term of this recent term of office, he dismantled an
So cool.
organization, Suko, he no Sarah.
Sorry. Still asset recovery.
He
Yeah.
dismantled Sarah, which was a legal body that was set up in collaboration with the United Nations Support and Help, headed by one of the most renowned economists in the Caribbean,
Dr. Clive
Professor
Thomas.
Clive Thomas. So when an idiot can do those type of things, he has no right to be attorney general. And in fact, a new government would not have people like that as attorney general. It has to be
No.
somebody who is not involved in party politics and who's of a high caliber. And if it means we have to bring that person outside of Guyana to be the attorney general of this country, we will have to do that.
Jenna, I appreciate spending time with you as always. Again, I repeat, it's redundant, I'll say it. Let us be on the road, people, protesting of course, within the confines of law.
I
Nobody
am
can
not
pay us
against,
to be.
brother. I
Nobody
am
can
not
pay us.
against. I'm not against. Look,
Mm,
somebody called a general strike for today, and nobody
mm,
turned up. No, we don't organize things like that. You don't get over
exactly.
emotional. That is the problem we have. Everybody wants to have a bit of fame. That this thing is not about that. It's about organizing
Of
constructively,
course.
having dialogue and discussion. And what they want is to fragment us. And we must not allow that to happen. If we have differences of opinion, we must be man and women, a woman, to actually sit down and discuss it and find a common cause of what we need.
Important. And made me remember this. I'll do a broadcast about that. Why I'm saying that we should be on the road protesting, because the US, which will play a very important part in solving this issue. The case is solved as far as I'm concerned. It's just who will be charged for what. But we have got 31. The squatter, I don't call her a member of parliament or some opposition member. We've got 31 members of parliament who are in the official opposition, plus one. This is Anog, the joined the party.
I bet you they won't appear at no demonstration. I
I'm
bet you
saying,
that.
okay, why are you preempting me, Jenna? I, I, I I am
Because I
saying to
know.
them tonight,
Uh,
I'm saying to you all tonight, 31 of you, don't worry about the young lady from TCI who became deputy speaker of the house. I have never heard that in my life. But
she, I am to be
listen,
blamed for that. I must take responsibility for her
well, you should. I
getting
wasn't, because I wasn't a part of it. But
getting
people
her
hear me
there.
carefully, please. We have 31 members of parliament from Upton AFC. I expect to see at least 31 of y'all on the road after the US ambassador said that she welcomes protesting. It's within your right. The US, it happens all the time. She also is saying she's willing to hear. So now you have a chance, Aubrey Norton, to step out there and let us hear what you stand for in reference to Adriana's situation. No, you don't need a press conference. You do not need a press conference, because the US ambassador expects you or us to be out there protesting, and the other parties like the People's Movement, like VPAC, there's so many other groups here, ALP and others, who would be standing there with you, I'm sure, because we all have the same problem. There is a dictatorship, and further I say to you that you are the legal legislators of this country. You make the laws. You have the power to do so. So the least y'all can do is to come on the road and tell us that this terrorism story here isn't working, because that is not what the law really speaks to. That's the least you can do, because we are under a constitutional dictatorship and we're being attacked with the use of law, or the misuse, I should say, of it. So I expect 31 of y'all to be out there, including Arby Norton. You paid by us to do the work of the people when the administration is failing us. And this administration is one of tyranny
Should
and the
Granger come there
dictatorship.
since he's the head of the list?
Grainer should be the first one in line, if you ask me, because he hasn't in this in the first place.
Yes.
So we expect there to be a national critical response. Oh, the Bar Association can be found, when Jagdi could call a reputable attorney like Dexter Todd mediocre. Look at the disrespect.
The bar,
There's so much
let
to
me
be
tell you
said.
something. The people who have let us down in this country is that same Guyana Bar Association, who's
Ridiculous.
headed who heads it is Ramkaran, Ralph Ramkaran's son, Kamal Ramkaran. So
Say
where are
no
you going
more.
to go? Where are you going to go with
Say
that?
no more.
If the lawyers of this country have no backbone, the men and the women, that is why when you are choosing judges and magistrates, you have that pool to choose. You don't go outside of that pool.
My
That is the
God.
problem. So that's why that's why people in this country have no faith and in the legal and the judicial system. This has to
Yeah,
change.
yeah,
And
yeah.
if people who are complaining now re-elect these same people who are in parliament, then they look for what they're getting. So they have an
That's true.
opportunity. They have an opportunity to make fundamental changes to this country.
That's true. Oh,
And
another thing, Jenna, before we go, I remember something you said. You spoke about the Linden Highway, the Suzak Linden Highway. It's not the Linden Suzak Highway, right? It's Suzak Linden Highway. And about the work being done by Guy American and another company. And you alluded to Barrett and Irfan were about to be paid to the work be finished. Listen, we wouldn't say that here unless we have evidence to support the same. Because I know these cats too well, all right? And of course, we know in time many things will be revealed. But for the sake of us moving forward with a high level of potency when it comes to dealing with these people, we would say that in keeping with corruption, it is likely, but we don't have evidence. I just want to make that clear because we're not going to attract negative attention to what we're doing and unnecessary attention either. So I can understand the context in which you said it is that you don't trust Irfan Ali because anybody who was faced 19 fraud charges and the court said that there's enough evidence for you to stand before us to answer to them, I don't trust even the dirty walker. But still, if I don't have the evidence to speak, I wouldn't do so. So just for the sake of Jinnah, I would like to say that, and for the sake of the movement, because I know that people hop and start saying all kinds of stuff, we're not going there. Until we have, and there will be,
let
when
me
the
make a
PVV goes out of office,
let
there'll
me
be
make a clar-
significant investigations
let me make
conducted.
a clarification on that Linden Highway. Is it publicly known when that work is going to be completed? Irfan Ali is on record quite rightly criticizing all these contractors. He called them to a meeting on two occasions
5:30 a.m.
at 5:30, and he lambasted them. He lambasted them like any other president would have done. But has that changed? Or it was just a showpiece to try to show the
Exactly.
Guyanese people that he means business? That Linden Highway, because the people who travel there, most of all, are people who are not traditional supporters of the PPP. So
Yeah,
they don't care, and we need to make a demand about how that. Look. Dragon used to say that when something is done in your community, you have the right from the beginning to question how it's going to
correct.
be done, and along the whole completion of it,
Who is doing it?
who's
Exactly
doing
as
it.
well.
All right.
Yeah.
So listen to me. We are not afraid of anybody. Don't try to put fear into us. I've been into lockup many times, and I'm not interested in them doing this to
No, no,
me.
no, 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 no. Nobody's trying to put fear. I'm saying in fairness, if we do not have certain pieces of evidence, then I would not speak to it.
No, no. What we are
That's what
saying
I'm
here,
saying.
what we are saying. Let's repeat it. The fact of the matter is that the road is in a terrible state, and it can create more accident than we can ever imagine.
Definitely.
Good. I have been up the highway on Sunday. I've seen for myself, and if something is not done immediately to correct the situation, the way in which they are repairing the road, and you're leaving a lot of potholes, people who do not know that road, you know it best than
You're
anybody
done.
else.
Finished.
In fact, the truth of the matter is, when I went up there and we saw two vehicles topple over, one was a
Yeah.
truck and one was a car, and we
Yeah.
stopped to try to find out. The police were there, try to find out what is the cause of this car toppling over there, and it's because of the state of the road, and
Yeah.
there
Well,
is no enough health and traffic regulation to
no.
prevent accident. Imagine you are traveling during the day, and when heavy rain, and you have
Can't see.
to the car is swaying from one end to the other end, and you're on the highway. Imagine if you are there in the night, what will happen?
Well, my wife's bus ran off. She ran off the road because of loose gravel with no signage.
Exactly.
And apart from that, the idiots, and I will call them that, who build in the highway have no experience in building highways. I can tell you that because
Exactly.
you do not mill or dig up both sides of the road and people drive on loose gravel. You fix one lane. When you're done,
Correct.
you use that lane and then use the other one. They have
Correct.
no sense because they're not qualified to build anything as
Yes.
far as I'm concerned.
And are you
But that's
saying,
another story.
Brother Nigel, are you saying that we criticizing them for that, what are they going to do about it? That is the truth.
No. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you would have said that they may have been paid, which is why the contractor cannot finish the job. That's the part I spoke to. And I'm saying that
No, what I
although
am
it's a
saying,
possibility, it is not what I would speak to.
the allegation is, and
That's a better term.
you are alluding to the fact, look, is only a frightened regime will go after the truth because they know what you're saying, that you know something that is happening. That is why they want to shut you up. You understand? But
Yeah,
if
but we have to communicate in a very clear space.
I
Understand me
understand that,
clearly, my brother.
yes, that well,
If you
on
say
this
it is an allegation, that's fine. But I'm saying for
we
the
we
sake of this
we on this program are very responsible, and
my point
thank,
exactly. Good.
thank goodness that
My
we
point
don't have
exactly.
people who are phoning in and making
No, I don't have time for reckless
irresponsible.
nonsense. So
Yes,
so
yes.
we're good, but
I
I
I
have
haven't
to
seen
go.
any
Long day tomorrow.
I haven't seen any comments there.
Neither have I. So let's talk again. Do well. Thank you for your time, viewers and Jenna.
Take
All
care.
right, y'all take care. What a night, people. Again, I say to you that I'm encouraging you all to demonstrate, as the US ambassador said, they welcome it. And if they welcome it or she welcomes it, we should be doing it because it's a normal practice for human beings. So let's be there. Let us stand. Let's stand strongly to send a clear message to this administration that we are not going to be cowards. We're not going to bow in fear to you at any time. We're going to stand for justice for Adriana, justice for all those who are incarcerated, being called terrorists in our country. We don't define them as that. So you're not going to tag them as that. And those who've been selected, and Nanla was not elected, he was selected to function as the Attorney General. He will do our job. You'll do well till you meet again.